After my mom lost her medical license, she started treating my little sister like her own personal lab rat. So I decided to stop her in a way she never saw coming. But now, 3 years down the line, she's back at it, sending me these weird, creepy gifts that say stuff like, "A mother always protects her child." My mom used to be a doctor, but she lost her license a couple of years ago. Even now, she won't tell us what exactly happened, why she lost it, but deep down, I'm pretty sure it has something to do with what she was doing to my younger sister, Emily. Every Friday, like clockwork, she'd pick Emily up from school early. And by the time I got home, Emily would already be in bed, knocked out cold, hugging her teddy bear. There'd always be this weird cup filled with some purple drink sitting on her nightstand. I still remember the first time I saw that cup. I tried to sneak into her room to check it out, maybe even taste whatever was in it. But right as I reached for it, Mom suddenly snapped. "Don't you dare touch that," she said. "She's sick." "You're not." That honestly shook me a bit. I kept my mouth shut about it for a while, probably too long. But things started to get worse. Emily began getting seriously sick after drinking whatever Mom was giving her. She started throwing up several times a week, barely ate anything, and was losing weight fast. That's when everything really hit the fan. It was a Friday again, and Emily wasn't doing well. I noticed Mom pacing around the kitchen like a madwoman, mumbling to herself. I asked her what was going on, but she didn't answer, just kept muttering under her breath like she was in her own world. About 10 minutes later, it was like something in her snapped. She walked up to me, grabbed my shoulders, and said, "You stay here and watch Emily. I need to get her more medicine." Then she rushed out the door to the store. I ran straight to Emily's room. She was awake, but had this blank look on her face, like all the life had drained out of her. I asked her how she was feeling. She barely shook her head and said, "Not good, but Mom said she's getting me something to make me feel better." I asked if the stuff Mom gave her ever actually helped, and she just shrugged and said, "Sometimes I feel sick before I take it, but I always feel worse after." That's when it all clicked. My stomach dropped. "Listen, Emily," I told her. "I need you to trust me. Whatever Mom gives you tonight, please don't take it. And if she tries to make you, spit it out the second she turns away." She nodded, then slowly drifted back to sleep. Later that night, when Mom got back and prepared Emily's next dose, I hid around the hallway corner, watching everything. I caught Emily's eye and gave her the signal. Just like we planned, she waited for Mom to leave the room, then spit it all out. The next morning, I checked on her right away. She said she still felt kind of sick, but not nearly as bad as she usually did the day after one of those treatments. That was enough for me. I called Dad at work, told him everything, and he dropped everything to come get us. We headed straight to urgent care and asked them to test whatever Mom had been giving Emily. I handed the doctor the cup with the purple stuff and explained the whole situation. I noticed the nurses looking at each other with real concern, like they knew something wasn't right. A few hours later, someone from social services showed up to question us. They asked about Mom, how long this had been going on. I didn't hold anything back. I told them everything. That evening, one of the doctors came into the waiting room and sat down next to me. He looked serious. "The liquid your sister was drinking tested positive for concentrated ipecac syrup," he said. "It's a substance that forces the body to vomit, causes severe nausea. Your mother was intentionally making Emily sick. This is a serious case of medical abuse." He went on to say that if I hadn't intervened when I did, it could have led to permanent damage, her esophagus, her heart, all of it could have been compromised with continued exposure. When Dad found out, he just broke down. Tears, everything. "I'm sorry," he said. "I trusted her. She did this to me once, back during our honeymoon. But she swore she wouldn't do it to the kids." Emily and I were both shaking. We told the officer everything we could. He said they'd be going to the house to question Mom and collect evidence. He offered to drive us home himself, along with his partner. So we all piled into the patrol car. But when we pulled into our driveway, things felt off right away. All the lights in the house were on, and the front door was wide open. It was clear, Mom was gone. She must have known they were coming. The officer stepped out first, scanning the scene. His partner followed, hand on her radio, ready for anything. They moved in carefully, announcing themselves as they entered. The rest of us, me, Emily, and Dad, stayed back near the car. Time dragged. Emily squeezed my hand tighter with every passing second. Eventually, the officers came back out. The lead officer shook his head and said, "House is clear. Looks like she packed in a rush." He pulled out a small notebook and started jotting things down. "We'll need to search the place thoroughly. Do you want to come in or wait out here?" Dad wiped his eyes, squared his shoulders, and said, "We'll go in. The kids need their things." He wrapped an arm around me and Emily, and we walked up to the house together. Inside, the kitchen was a mess. Drawers were hanging open. Mom's purse was missing from its usual spot on the counter, and her keys weren't on the hook. The coffee maker was still on, half a pot sitting cold and untouched. In the living room, photo albums were scattered everywhere. She'd ripped out certain pictures, leaving gaping holes in the pages. The officers moved through the house like pros, snapping photos and jotting notes. One of them collected the remaining bottles of that purple stuff from the bathroom cabinet and bagged them as evidence. Emily stuck close to me as we went upstairs to pack some clothes. Her room looked pretty much untouched, except for one thing. Her teddy bear, the one she always held on to during those Friday treatments, was gone. Emily noticed right away and broke down. "She took Mr. Button's," she whispered through tears. I hugged her tight and said, "We'll get you a new one, all right? Even better than Mr. Button's." Dad showed up in the doorway holding an empty suitcase. "Let's pack for a few days," he said. "We're going to stay with Aunt Lillian for a little while." While Emily gathered her things, I slipped into my room. Everything looked normal, until I saw the envelope on my pillow. My name was written on it, in Mom's handwriting. I quickly grabbed it and shoved it into my pocket before anyone saw. Downstairs, the officers were wrapping up the initial search. One of them pulled Dad aside and spoke quietly. "We've issued an alert for her car. Do you have any idea where she might go? Any friends or family she'd run to?" Dad shook his head. "Her parents passed away a long time ago. No siblings either." He paused. "As for friends, she kept to herself. After she lost her license, she said she couldn't trust anyone. We'll need a recent photo of her," the officer added. "And a list of places she used to go. Anywhere she might have visited regularly. Also, any credit cards or bank accounts you know about." While Dad fielded the questions, I gave Emily a hand with her suitcase and carried it out to the car. That envelope in my pocket felt like it was scorching straight through the fabric. As soon as we were alone in the back seat, I slipped it out and opened it with care. The message inside was short. "You don't understand what you've done. She needs her medicine. Without it, she'll get worse. You'll see. Love, Mom." My hands trembled as I read those words. I crushed the note into a ball and stuffed it back in my pocket. Emily was staring at me, her eyes wide and full of questions. "What was that?" she asked. "Nothing important," I lied. "Just an old piece of homework." Aunt Lillian lived about 40 minutes out in a peaceful little suburb. She answered the door wearing a bathrobe, her hair still wound up in curlers. Even though Dad had called ahead to give her a heads up, she still looked stunned to see us. "Oh my goodness! Come in, she said, fussing over us as she led us inside. "Emily, honey, you look so pale." We got settled into her spare bedrooms while Dad sat down with her and filled her in. I could hear bits and pieces of their conversation through the wall, Aunt Lillian's shocked gasps breaking up Dad's steady explanations. Emily crawled into the bed next to mine, already dozing off from sheer exhaustion. The days that followed blended into one long, blurry stretch. The police showed up a few times to ask more questions. A social worker came by to check in on Emily. Dad took some time off work to sort through the legal stuff. He filed for an emergency protective order and started the divorce process. Slowly but surely, Emily started eating again, keeping food down for the first time in what felt like forever. Her cheeks started to regain some color. On the fourth day, I spotted another envelope. This one was slipped under Aunt Lillian's windshield wiper. The handwriting looked exactly the same. My fingers shook as I opened it. "I know where you are. A mother always knows. She needs me. You can't keep her from me forever." I bolted inside and handed it straight to Dad. He called the police again, and they bumped up patrols around the neighborhood. Aunt Lillian didn't waste any time. She had new locks installed and a full security system set up. From that point on, we weren't allowed to go anywhere alone. Emily didn't quite understand why the grown-ups were all on edge. She kept asking when we'd get to go home, when school would start again, when everything would feel normal. Dad and I took turns keeping her distracted with movies and board games, but no matter how hard we tried, that worried look never left his face. A week slipped by without any new incidents. Emily kept improving. She even gained a few pounds and hadn't gotten sick once. The shadows under her eyes were fading. She actually laughed at one of Dad's awful jokes during dinner. Then I found the purple bottle. It was tucked way down in Emily's backpack, wrapped up in a plastic bag like someone had tried to hide it. I felt my blood run cold. I grabbed it and rushed to find Dad. He was in the kitchen on the phone with his lawyer. When he saw what I was holding, the color drained from his face, and he dropped the phone. "Where did you find this?" he asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. "In Emily's backpack," I said. "She must have," but I couldn't even finish the sentence. The thought was too horrifying. Dad called the cops again. They combed through the house from top to bottom but found no signs of anyone breaking in. The alarm hadn't gone off either. Somehow, Mom had gotten close enough to leave that bottle, without anyone noticing. That night I couldn't sleep. I parked myself by Emily's bedroom door, listening for anything strange. Sometime around 2 in the morning, I heard a noise outside. A light rustling near the window. I tiptoed over and peeked through the curtain. There was a shadow moving across the yard, too quick to make out clearly. By the time I got Dad up and we ran outside to check, whoever it was had vanished. The next morning, Dad made up his mind. "We're going to Seattle for a bit. Staying with my brother until the police find her." But I knew that wasn't the answer. Running wasn't going to fix this. Mom was smart. Real smart. She'd been laying the groundwork for this for years, poisoning Emily right under our noses. She'd find us again, no matter where we went. "Dad, we can't just keep running," I told him. "We have to catch her." He looked at me like I'd gone crazy. "Absolutely not. I'm not putting you kids at risk." "But we're already at risk," I said. "She's getting bolder. What if next time she doesn't leave a bottle? What if she comes to take Emily?" Dad went pale, but he shook his head. "That's for the police to handle, not us." Still, I couldn't shake the feeling. That night I stayed up again, this time with Emily's phone in my hand. I had Mom's number memorized. My fingers hovered over the screen for a while before I finally started typing. "Mom, it's me. I miss you. They won't let me see you, but I want to. Can we meet? Just the two of us. Don't tell anyone. Emily." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Her reply came fast. "My sweet girl. I miss you too. Yes, we can meet. Tomorrow night. 11 p.m. At the park where I used to take you to feed the ducks. Come alone. I love you." My heart was pounding. I had her. I deleted the message and wiped the phone's history clean. But my hands kept trembling. Tomorrow night. The park. I wanted to tell Dad, but something stopped me. He'd never go for using Emily as bait, not even pretend bait. He'd call the cops. They'd surround the place. And Mom? She'd spot them from a mile away. She'd vanish again and we'd be stuck right back where we started. The next morning, I watched Emily munch on her breakfast, her appetite finally back. She spread peanut butter across her toast and hummed some tune from a cartoon. Dad sat across from her, eyes sunken from another night without sleep. Aunt Lillian bustled around the kitchen, making enough food to feed a small army. I said I needed the bathroom and slipped away, locking the door behind me. I needed a plan. Mom would be expecting Emily at the park at 11 sharp. She'd be scanning the place for cops or any adult figures. But what if I went instead? In the dark, from a distance, I could probably pass for my little sister. Maybe I could get close, record her, get her to say something, anything, that would help us. That day felt like it stretched on forever. I helped Emily finish a puzzle. We played a couple board games. Watched movies. Normal things. Or at least they would have felt normal if I hadn't been planning something that felt anything but. Dad spent most of the day on the phone, talking to lawyers and real estate folks about selling the house and making a fresh start somewhere else. Aunt Lillian kept popping in with snacks and rechecking the locks on every window. Then around 4 that afternoon, I overheard Dad on the phone with someone new. His voice was tense. "Yes," he said. "I understand. No, we haven't heard from her directly. Just the notes." There was a pause. Then I heard Dad's voice, tight and sharp from the kitchen. "What do you mean she contacted you?" My stomach sank. I crept up closer to the doorway, holding my breath. She said what? That's completely false, he snapped. She was poisoning our daughter. We've got medical records to prove it. Another pause. No. Absolutely not. You can't visit. It's not safe. His voice climbed a little louder. Now she's saying I coached them to lie? That I put those ideas in their heads? He let out a long sigh and rubbed his face like he was trying to hold it together. She's turning everyone against us. Aunt Lillian crossed her arms and her jaw tensed. Well, folks will figure out the truth sooner or later. I wanted to believe that. But Mom was a master manipulator. She'd already convinced Dad to take her back after she poisoned him on their honeymoon. She'd kept Emily's suffering hidden for who knows how long. She was probably out there spinning new lies right now, pulling more people into her twisted version of the story. That night, I started getting ready. I found one of Emily's hoodies in the laundry and hid it under my bed. Charged up her phone and double-checked the voice recorder app. Even practiced walking like her, small steps, just a little limp on the left side. Dinner was uncomfortable. Dad barely touched his food. Emily chatted away about some books she was reading, completely unaware of the storm brewing all around her. I forced myself to eat, knowing I'd need the energy later. After we cleared the table, I helped with dishes while Dad took another call. This time it was the police. No new leads. Her car had been spotted on a traffic cam heading north 2 days back, but then the trail went cold. They were checking motels and campgrounds, but nothing solid yet. By 9 p.m., we were all winding down. I tucked Emily in, hugging her tight. Sleep well, I whispered. You too, she mumbled, eyes already fluttering shut. Tomorrow, can we make cookies with Aunt Lillian? Sure, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. God, I hoped there would be a tomorrow where cookie making was our biggest worry. Back in my room, I didn't change into pajamas. I sat on my bed fully dressed, just waiting. I could hear Dad doing his nightly checks, windows, locks, the security system. Aunt Lillian's TV hummed softly behind the wall. By 10:15, the house was still and silent. I pulled Emily's hoodie over my clothes, flipped the hood up, grabbed her phone, and eased the window open. The house was old, and the latches didn't quite catch right. I'd noticed that on day one and, lucky for me, hadn't mentioned it. The window slid up without a sound. I climbed out onto the garage roof, then carefully lowered myself down the drain pipe. Landed softer than I expected. The security system didn't cover second-story windows, another thing working in my favor. The park was about a 15-minute walk through quiet residential streets. I stuck to the shadows, moving slow, hood low over my face. Just a kid sneaking out at night, nothing more. Every car that passed made my heart jump, but none slowed down. The entrance to the park came into view. Streetlights cast long, eerie shadows across the path. The duck pond sat in the center, ringed with old benches and rusty playground equipment. By day, it looked cheerful enough. At night, it looked like something straight out of a nightmare. I checked the phone. 10:55 p.m. I hunched my shoulders and made my way toward the pond, trying to look small, like Emily would. The voice recorder was running in my pocket. That's when I saw her. She stepped out from behind the jungle gym, wearing dark clothes I didn't recognize. Hair cut short, dyed darker. But her walk gave her away, that forward lean like she was always on the verge of sprinting. Emily, sweetheart, she called softly. You came. I didn't say anything, just kept walking toward her with my head down. I didn't trust my voice yet. She wanted to hurt you, Mom said, gentle as ever. That same soft tone she used when she was quietly wrecking Emily's body with poison. They filled your head with lies, didn't they? I gave a tiny nod. Still silent. I knew they would. That's why I had to see you. To tell you the truth. She patted the bench beside her. Come sit with Mommy. I sat, at the far end. Kept space between us. The phone was still recording, hidden deep in my hoodie pocket. Your father never understood my medical background, she began. What I gave you wasn't poison, sweetheart. It was a special treatment. She looked at me with pity. You have a condition. A rare one. Without that medicine, you'll get sick. Very sick. I kept my voice soft and high, like Emily's. But the medicine made me sick. She nodded, almost proudly. Only at first. That's how it works. You feel worse before you feel better, like chemotherapy. She scooted a little closer. You've felt better lately, haven't you? That's because the treatment was working. But now, without it, you're going to crash. Hard. I glanced up slightly. The doctor said it was poison. Her smile froze. Then she softened her expression again. Doctors don't always understand alternative treatments. That's why I lost my license. I was too advanced. Too misunderstood. She reached into her bag and I tensed. But all she pulled out was a small purple bottle. The liquid sloshed inside, familiar and horrifying. I brought your medicine, she said sweetly. Just 1 dose. It'll help you feel better. Then we can figure out how to keep going, without interference. I don't want it, I said quickly. Emily, sweetie, she crooned. You need it. Remember how you were feeling? The weight loss? The fatigue? That's your condition taking hold. She unscrewed the cap. Just 1 sip. For Mommy. I stood up, backing away. No. And that's when I slipped. I raised my head too high. The streetlight hit my face, and her eyes went wide. You, she hissed, bolting up from the bench. Where is she? Where's my daughter? Safe from you, I said, dropping the fake voice. Her face twisted with fury. You poisoned her against me. You've always been jealous of our bond. She stepped forward, bottle still in hand. You're killing her by keeping her from her medicine. It's not medicine, I said, shaking now. It's Ipecac syrup. You were making her sick on purpose. I pulled the phone from my pocket and held it up. I've got it all recorded, I said, my voice steady. Her eyes narrowed, and she lunged for it. But I was already moving. I dodged to the side and took off running toward the park entrance. I could hear her heels clacking against the pavement behind me, and she was faster than I expected. You don't understand, she shouted after me. She needs me. You're killing her. I pushed my legs harder, heart pounding like a drum. Being taller gave me a longer stride, but she knew the park better. She cut across the playground, trying to get ahead of me. I veered into the woods, stumbling as roots and shadows tangled around my feet. You can't run forever, she screamed. I will get her back. I burst out onto a different street, completely turned around. My head whipped left then right. Where was Aunt Lillian's house? I picked a direction and ran, her footsteps still echoing behind me. A car turned the corner up ahead, headlights cutting through the dark. I waved my arms wildly. The car slowed, and relief washed over me. It was one of the neighborhood patrol cars. Help! I shouted, nearly tripping as I ran toward them. She's chasing me! One of the officers jumped out before the car even came to a full stop, while the other reversed fast, heading toward the park. Mom saw them and turned on a dime, disappearing back into the trees. Are you hurt? The officer asked, his flashlight beam flickering over my face. I'm okay, I panted, trying to catch my breath. But she's getting away. We'll find her, he said firmly. Let's get you home first. They drove me back to Aunt Lillian's, and the whole place looked like it was glowing. Every light was on, police cars in the driveway. Dad was out front, pacing in a panic until he spotted me. His face twisted, anger and fear fighting for control. What were you thinking? He snapped, rushing over. But then he just wrapped me up in a fierce hug. You could have been, God, you could have been hurt. I pulled out Emily's phone and handed it over. I got it. She admitted everything. She tried to give me more of it. The officers took the phone to review the recording while Dad pulled me inside. Emily was awake, crying her eyes out in Aunt Lillian's arms. The second she saw me, she broke away and ran over. I woke up and you weren't there, she sobbed, clinging to me. I thought Mom took you. I'm okay, I whispered, hugging her tight. I'm sorry I scared you. Police searched the park and every street around it, but she'd vanished again. Only this time, we had her confession. The audio was solid. Her voice, clear as day, admitting she gave Emily Ipecac, claiming it was some kind of treatment, threatening us. The next few days blurred together, interviews, legal meetings, police protection. They verified the recording and issued a warrant for Mom's arrest. Child abuse. Attempted poisoning. It hit the local news, though our names were kept out of it. But even then, she didn't stop. The letters came back. This time from different cities. Some were tucked under our front door. Others left on windshields. A few mailed directly to Dad's office. "You're killing her," one said. "Every day without her medicine brings her closer to death. When she collapses, remember, you did this." Emily wasn't allowed outside unless one of us was right there. I started carrying pepper spray everywhere and always kept an eye on my surroundings. The tension was eating us alive. Then, 2 weeks after the park incident, Emily started feeling sick. The doctor said it was just a cold, nothing serious. But I saw the fear in Dad's eyes, and I felt it too. What if, God forbid, Mom had been right about something? We went to more doctors. Specialists. Blood work, scans, everything. All of it came back clean. Emily was perfectly healthy. But the seed had been planted. That little voice in the back of your head whispering, "What if you missed something?" Meanwhile, Mom stepped up her campaign. She started reaching out to extended family, old friends, coworkers, anyone who might listen. She changed her story with every message. To some, she was a victim in a bitter custody fight. To others, Dad was the abuser, and she was trying to save us. In the wildest version, I was the one who poisoned Emily and made it all up. Most people didn't buy it. Especially after the news coverage. But a few did. Dad's aunt called to scold him for keeping a child from her mother. A family friend stopped talking to us altogether. That's when I realized, Mom wasn't just trying to get Emily back. She was trying to isolate us. Cut off our support system. Make us doubt each other. One morning, I found Emily in the bathroom just standing there, holding a bottle of purple cough syrup. She wasn't doing anything with it. Just staring. "What are you doing?" I asked gently. She looked up, tears brimming. "What if Mom was right?" she whispered. "What if I really am sick and I need it?" I took the bottle from her hands and set it down. "You're not sick, Emily. Every doctor has said so. Mom was lying." "But what if they're wrong?" she said. "What if I don't take it and something awful happens?" Her voice cracked, and my heart broke. Even after everything, Mom's poison wasn't just in Emily's body, it was in her mind. I hugged her close. "You're not going to die," I said softly. "I swear. Mom wasn't helping you. She was hurting you." Still, that doubt lingered in her eyes. Later that day, while Dad was out meeting a lawyer and Aunt Lillian had gone to the store, I noticed something off. Emily kept looking at her tablet, then flipping the screen off when I glanced over. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Nothing. Just playing," she mumbled. But her guilty look said otherwise. Once she got up to use the bathroom, I picked up the tablet. Opened her email. There it was. A thread between Emily and someone claiming to be a school friend. But it wasn't just friendly chatter. It started out harmless, questions about how Emily felt if she missed school. But the tone slowly shifted. This friend began suggesting that maybe her family was overreacting. That maybe her mom really did care. Maybe she just wanted to help. I scrolled down, my chest tightening. Weeks of subtle grooming. Manipulation dressed up as compassion. The most recent message chilled me to my core. "If you really miss your mom, I know how you can see her. But it has to be our secret." Emily came back and froze when she saw me reading. Her face crumpled. "I'm sorry," she cried. "I just wanted to talk to someone who understood." "This isn't your friend," I said gently. "It's Mom. Pretending." Her eyes went wide. But she knew things. About my class. About the hamster. She's been watching us," I reminded her. "Remember the letters? She knows things. She's always known things." Emily broke down, and I held her close as she sobbed. It hit me right then, Mom wasn't stopping. She'd keep finding new ways to sneak in. To twist the truth. To try and win Emily back. That night, I showed everything to Dad. Dad's face turned pale as he scrolled through the emails. His jaw tightened. "We need to leave," he said. "Somewhere she can't track us. She'll always find us." I shot back. "Running won't fix this. We've got to stop her, for real this time. We tried that already. You almost got hurt. That was because I went in alone," I reminded him. "But what if we work together? What if we set a real trap?" He shook his head, lips pressed tight. "It's too dangerous." But I could tell he was cracking. The fear, the constant looking over our shoulders, the mind games, it was all wearing him down, same as it was wearing me. We couldn't keep living like prisoners. So over the next few days, I started working on a plan. Mom was spiraling, getting bold, sloppy. She was risking more just to reach Emily. That meant she was bound to show her face again, especially if she thought Emily was alone and vulnerable. All we had to do was set the bait. I pitched the idea to Dad and the police. We'd keep up the email thread on Emily's tablet. Let her think the door was open, dangle a meeting, then have officers lying in wait nearby. Dad hated it. Said it was reckless. But even he had to admit, we were running out of options. The lead detective wasn't thrilled either. "She's not stupid," he warned. "She'll sniff out surveillance in a heartbeat." "Not if we're careful," I pushed. "She's emotionally tangled up with Emily. That's making her reckless." Eventually, they agreed to a watered-down version. We'd keep the email exchange going, but no actual meetup. "Too risky," they said. But I knew Mom wouldn't fall for that. She wouldn't give up real information over text. She needed to believe Emily was really coming to see her. So I did what I always seem to do when the grown-ups flinch. I took matters into my own hands. Late that night, while Dad was asleep, I grabbed Emily's tablet and typed out a message. "I want to see you. They're taking me to a doctor tomorrow at 2 p.m. I can sneak away for a bit. Meet me behind the building." Her response came almost instantly. "Yes, my darling. I'll be there. Don't let them give you any medicine. Only I know what truly helps you." I deleted the exchange and tried to sleep, but my heart kept pounding against my ribs. Tomorrow, it would finally end. One way or another. Morning came. I played it cool, ate breakfast, helped Emily with some homework, watched a little TV. Then, just after noon, I rubbed my temples and muttered, "I think I need a little air. Just a walk around the block." Dad looked up from his coffee. "Take your phone. Stay on the main road. 20 minutes max." I nodded, pretending like that was the plan. But instead of looping around the neighborhood, I headed straight for the medical center 6 blocks away. By 1:45 p.m., I was tucked behind a row of bushes near the back entrance, just out of view. Waiting. Right at 2 o'clock she appeared. Wig. Sunglasses. But I knew it was her. She glanced around, checking her phone nervously. I could feel the pressure mounting in my chest as I whispered into my phone. "She's here. 5th Street. Behind the clinic. Please hurry." Then I stood up and stepped into view. "Looking for someone?" I asked. Her head jerked up. Her mouth opened. "It wasn't poison," she shrieked, tears already forming. "It was treatment. She has cyclic vomiting syndrome. The Ipecac controlled it." For a second, doubt flickered through me. She sounded so sure. So raw. But then I remembered Emily's cries, the nights she spent vomiting, the endless visits to doctors. If that were true, you'd have told someone. You'd have records. Not secrecy. Her face fell. They don't listen. Nobody listens. Just like with your father, he turned on me too. In the distance, sirens started up. She whipped around, eyes wide with realization. "You called them," she said flatly. "It's over. Please turn yourself in." She let out a bitter laugh. "Turn myself in? So they can lock me up and let my baby die." She stepped back, voice rising. "I'll never stop fighting for her." The sirens were getting closer. She bolted. But this time, there was no escape. Patrol cars rolled in from every angle, sealing the street. I stood frozen as they cuffed her screams echoing off the brick walls. She pressed her face to the back seat window as they drove off, mouthing something I couldn't hear. The detective who'd taken my statement came over, calm but firm. "We'll need you at the station tomorrow for a formal statement. Your recording is crucial." I nodded, watching the cruiser disappear around the corner. Back at Aunt Lillian's, Dad was pacing the living room like a storm cloud about to burst. Emily sat curled up on the couch, hugging a pillow. When I walked in, Dad grabbed my shoulders, eyes wide with panic. "Don't ever do that again," he choked out. "Promise me." "I promise," I said softly, though we both knew I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Emily jumped up and threw her arms around me. "The police said they got her. Is it true?" "Yeah. They got her." That night was the quietest we'd had in weeks. No knocks, no letters, no creepy messages. But the silence felt wrong. After everything, it felt like the calm before another storm. The next day, we went to the station. Emily stayed with Aunt Lillian while Dad and I gave statements. They played back the audio I recorded. Mom's voice filled the room, and under those cold fluorescent lights, she sounded even more unhinged. "This is strong," the detective said. "Between this, the medical evidence, and her past behavior, we've got a solid case." But deep down, I knew she wasn't done. And sure enough, just a few days later, Dad got a call. It was Mom's court-appointed attorney. "She wants to see Emily," the lawyer said. "She says it's her right as the mother." Dad hung up immediately. But the calls kept coming. The attorney kept pushing, saying denying visitation might backfire during the custody battle, that maybe Emily needed a proper goodbye. I found Dad that night at the kitchen table, drowning in paperwork, custody forms, medical reports, legal documents. He looked up at me, eyes heavy. "She's asking for supervised visitation," he said. "Her lawyer says if we say no, we'll look vindictive. She's using the system against us." I said quietly. "This is just more of the same." And I knew we hadn't reached the end. "Not yet." "I know," Dad muttered, rubbing his temples. "But what if the judge sides with her?" From that moment on, life blurred into a swirl of court hearings, attorney meetings, and psychological evaluations. Mom was ordered to undergo a full mental health assessment. Meanwhile, Emily had to sit through interviews with child psychologists, social workers, and court-appointed advocates. Each session seemed to chip away at her spirit just a little more. One afternoon, I walked into Emily's room at Aunt Lillian's and found her quietly flipping through old photos on her tablet. Pictures from what felt like another lifetime. Mom pushing her on a playground swing, braiding her hair with soft fingers, reading bedtime stories under a blanket fort. I eased down beside her. "Those moments still count," I said gently. "Even with everything that came after. The good parts, they were real." She didn't look up. "Do you think she ever really loved me? Or was all of it just part of her illness?" I didn't know what to say. I wanted to offer clarity, some black and white truth, but all I had was silence. The kind that made your chest ache. Before we knew it, the preliminary hearing was upon us. We sat quietly in the courthouse hallway, waiting to be called. Emily wore a simple dress, pretty, but understated. The same one Mom had bought her for the school concert last year. I couldn't tell if it was a coincidence, or if she wore it on purpose. Through the thick doors of the courtroom, we could hear muffled voices. Mom's lawyer was asking for leniency, citing her untreated mental illness and clean criminal record. The prosecutor came back hard, pointing to the deliberate nature of the abuse and the physical damage Emily had endured. When we were finally ushered in, Mom was already seated at the defendant's table. She looked thinner, her hair back to its natural color, and for the first time, she didn't radiate control. If anything, she looked diminished. But when her eyes locked on Emily, that same unsettling fire was still burning. To spare her the trauma of direct confrontation, Emily testified via closed-circuit television from a separate room. I sat beside her, our fingers laced together as she spoke. Her voice was steady, even as she described the purple medicine, the ritual doses every Friday, the nights spent curled up in pain. "She told me I was sick," Emily explained to the prosecutor. "That if I didn't take the medicine, something terrible would happen." "And how did the medicine make you feel?" the prosecutor asked. "Sick. Like my stomach was turning inside out." Mom's attorney tried to spin it, painting her as a mother overcome by untreated mental illness, who genuinely believed she was helping her child. But the medical records told another story. So did the patterns, the secrecy, the manipulation. During a recess, her lawyer approached Dad outside the courtroom. "She wants to make a deal," he said. "She's willing to plead guilty in exchange for psychiatric treatment instead of prison. Mandatory inpatient care. No contact until Emily turns 18. Dad turned to me, then glanced at Emily sitting nearby, hugging her knees on a bench. "We'll think about it," he said. That night, the three of us talked it through. A full trial meant dragging Emily back through every painful detail. Testimony, cross-examinations, endless questioning. But accepting the deal felt like letting Mom off easy. Like justice might not go far enough. "What do you want?" Dad asked Emily gently. She sat and thought for a long while. "I want her to get help. Real help. And I want to feel safe." The next day, Dad met with the prosecutor and hammered out the final terms: a guilty plea to child endangerment, 5 years of probation, At least 1 full year of inpatient psychiatric treatment, and absolutely no contact until Emily's 18th birthday, and even then, only if she reached out first. Mom agreed to the deal. The sentencing hearing was short. She stood before the judge, finally admitting some version of the truth. It wasn't a full confession, more of a fractured one, but enough to close the case. "I never meant to hurt my daughter," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Everything I did. I thought it was love. Even if now I can see I was wrong." The judge accepted the agreement. Officers moved to escort her to the psychiatric facility. Just before they led her away, she turned back to us. Her eyes landed on me. "Take care of her," she said softly. "Please." And then she was gone. I gave a quiet nod. I couldn't trust my voice to hold steady. After the hearing ended, we made the drive back to Aunt Lillian's in silence. Emily sat in the back seat, staring out the window, her eyes distant as if she were still inside that courtroom, trying to make sense of everything. The immediate danger was behind us. But healing? That was going to take a lot longer. That evening I helped her pack. Dad had managed to find us a small rental house in a completely different school district, far from the house that held all those heavy memories. A clean break. A chance to start fresh. "Will we ever see her again?" Emily asked as she folded her clothes into a duffel bag. "Not for a long time," I told her gently. "And only if you want to." She gave a small nod and reached for her stuffed animals. We'd gotten her a new teddy bear not long after Mom was taken away. She named it Mr. Buttons Jr., a quiet tribute to the original one Mom had taken from her. A way to hold on, without holding too tight. The next few months passed in a quiet rhythm. Emily enrolled at her new school, made a few friends, even joined the art club. She started to bloom again. Her health improved dramatically. No more strange illnesses. No more terrifying Friday rituals. She began to gain weight. Her skin got its glow back. Her laughter started sounding like it used to, light and real. I started my senior year and threw myself into college applications. Tried to act like everything was normal. But I still found myself checking the locks a little too often. I'd freeze every time a car crawled by our house. And I watched Emily carefully, scanning her expressions, her moods, worried there might be some hidden scar we hadn't noticed yet. Dad buried himself in work and therapy. He had a lot to unpack. Years of being gaslit and manipulated by the woman he once trusted more than anyone. He'd been Mom's first victim, and that guilt, the weight of not shielding us in time, ate at him constantly. Then, one afternoon, while sorting through the day's mail, I found a letter. No return address. But I recognized the handwriting right away. My hands trembled as I opened it. "I'm getting better," Mom wrote. "The doctors here understand. They're helping me realize what I did wrong. I think about you both every day. I'm sorry. When Emily is ready, if she's ever ready, I'll be here. Love, Mom." I showed the letter to Dad. He read it once. Then again. Without saying a word, he fed it straight into the shredder. "Not yet," he said. "Maybe not ever." Emily's 12th birthday rolled around soon after. She asked for something small, just us, a couple of close friends from school, and no fuss. While we planned it together, I noticed something different in her. She seemed lighter. Like the weight she'd been carrying had finally started to lift. On the morning of her birthday, she slipped into my room early and crawled into bed beside me, just like she used to when she was younger. "Do you think she remembers it's my birthday?" she whispered. "Probably," I said. "Do you think she's really getting better?" "I hope so," I replied, because that was the truth. She went quiet for a moment. "I had a dream about her last night. We were at the park feeding ducks. But when I threw the bread in the water, it turned purple." I wrapped an arm around her and pulled her close. "Just a dream," I murmured. "I know. It's just, sometimes I wonder. What if I really was sick? What if she wasn't completely wrong? The doctors said you're healthy. All of them. You're okay. I know. I do. It's just hard to stop wondering." We lay there together as the sun came up. Two sisters side by side, carrying memories no child should have. The pain would never fully disappear. It was part of our fabric now. But we were safe. Emily was healthy. Dad was getting the help he needed. And Mom, well, she was where she needed to be. Healing, maybe? Or at least being kept from hurting anyone else. Her birthday was a beautiful day. Emily laughed and played with her friends, ate too much cake, and looked, for once, like a kid untouched by trauma. It was amazing, really. How resilient children can be. That night, while I helped Dad clean up, he pulled me aside. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For saving her. For being strong when I wasn't. We saved each other," I told him. 6 months passed. Then a package showed up, no return address. Inside was Mr. Buttons, the original teddy bear. A small note was pinned to his chest. "He missed you." Emily clutched the bear, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. Then she stood up, walked to her room, and placed Mr. Buttons beside his newer twin on the shelf. "I'm keeping both," she said simply. And somehow, that felt right. The past and present, side by side. The pain and the love, tangled up but no longer overwhelming her. It was all part of her story. Mom's letters never stopped. One came every month, each with the same pattern: updates from therapy, apologies, promises of change. We never replied. Dad filed them away in a box, unopened after the first few. "In case we ever need them," he'd say. Emily continued to grow, stronger, steadier. The questions about Mom faded. She stopped inspecting every purple drink. Stopped flinching at the word medicine. The healing wasn't always smooth. Some days were tough. But she kept moving forward. And that was what mattered.